you surprised at the price that they finally paid? Or was it something you expected?
I'm surprised that I was able to negotiate. I think someone smarter wouldn't be surprised, but for me to walk out of the room and go, whoa, I would have taken less.
Anybody from CBS News here? Hopefully not.
So, yes, I was surprised. But happy for everybody. I mean, you know, like Adam and Jeff have toiled, and Lindsay, you know, as an actress, they toil. I mean, they're working 16-hour days. So whether anybody's worth it or not, it's not like something we throw together. I mean, it was a lot. It was heads down for 8 months. So absolutely surprised that people came out of the woodwork. But it was just, you know, I've done a lot of bigger deals. It was the funnest time that I've ever had.
So did they ask you about the number of downloads you have? Was it important to them?
Yeah, and luckily they don't understand that either, so we were making stuff up. We had a great technology that tripled all our numbers. And then a team of people in China to make comments and stuff. No, I mean, of course well, these are tips. See, these are subtle tips to you people. Wow, that's Joe from India. Of course they knew. Our numbers were never, we were right around 25 to 30,000 people a day watching the show. And not a lot, but a very focused group and a very passionate group about the show, so they knew. I think their valuation, just like us accepting a number, wasn't so much about the number, it was about moving forward quickly. You know, to CBS, you know, 2 weeks later he bought Last FM. CBS bought Last FM for, you know, $250 million plus. So it's like they stopped calling me back like 2 weeks later because our acquisition was, you know, a rounding error to them. Right. I think it was more about proving a point that they understood video, which they do. Quincy is an amazingly open guy. Like Quincy's, you know, they're about to, you know, the same owner owns Viacom, who's suing Google, and Quincy, you know, and CBS, you know, owned by the same group, is doing business with Google. So, you know, I don't get MySpace's angle. I do get Quincy's angle, which is show the show wherever people want to watch the show. I think that wins in the end. And one of my investors, Fred Wilson, who's one of the smartest venture capitalists in the web, and he started TheStreet.com. He was one of the Flatiron partners, was an investor in TheStreet.com. That was his motto, and that's why he invested. He knew that we weren't about building a website. We were about building a show and zipping it wherever anybody could watch it, and then making it highly searchable, which was a whole other aspect.
How important do you think building a community is around your show? I mean, it's not just about one way anymore. You have to have a relationship with your listeners to keep them loyal and to build that. How important was that to you, or did you consider it?
I would say 80% was that. I think it was important to be out every day. The whole idea of the show is, guys, 10 o'clock every night, I want that show ready, and they delivered. You know, sometimes midnight, sometimes 6, sometimes 2 in the morning, but they delivered. My job was to get the bloggers involved in my space and press, and that was my job, right? Leave them to do everything. I was in the show a lot, but not as much anymore. And then make sure all the bloggers in my space were writing about it, and that all the press saw what we were doing in the financial space. And it really worked. We got a lot of loyal people out of that.
Do you think online shows like this translate well? I mean, we know that Amanda Cogden went to ABC, I think, and they just announced like last week that they're kind of parting ways, and they said it was great, but no thanks, and that's it. I mean, is that because traditional media doesn't understand how to keep the momentum going of what we all have and what we're doing?
I think there's better and worse. I definitely think ABC's further behind CBS. They stuck Amanda on ABC, and you know, it was just with the ads and the small screen, and the experience was gone. I can't comment on whether it was her fault or their fault. I think that one was doomed from the beginning. I just think she had an audience that was an audience, and they tried to move her into a different audience, and I just don't think that translated well. They had some magic, and it happens. You know, sometimes, you know, they probably should have sold and been the first company to sell. Maybe then he'd be up here talking to you. It depends. You know, timing is a lot of it, and I think you know, I don't look back. That's because of my business. I trade and I buy and sell stocks, and I can't look back. Otherwise, I would kill myself. Well, I should have just kept my Berkshire Hathaway. I should have just kept my this. So you do stuff. There's tons of opportunity that comes along. You have to focus on the opportunity, not on the past. And I think what ABC did, they probably just killed the vibe of the whole thing, and it just didn't work.
I want to talk about the post-roll advertising, the type of advertising you do, but first I want to talk about doing this as a living. A lot of us out here would love to be able to. There are a lot of people here that have full-time careers in other industries, but they love Subject X and they're doing shows on Subject X. Do you think it's possible that thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people, can make a living creating content without selling, but actually selling sponsorships and being mini media companies? Is that possible?
When the fear of not getting invited back, no. And that's not to be mean. I just think you have to know a reason why you're doing it. If you're doing it to make money, then focus on the business. You know, if you got to do all those tasks, you got to block and tackle, you got to get your niche involved, you've got to target some advertisers, and you got to figure out who would really benefit from the show if they had it as part of their content. If you're doing it because you love it and you want to build a community around a topic that you love, I think, which is what I do on my blog, it's the most satisfying thing that I've ever done. And every day I get, you know, I think about 2,500 uniques a day, right? And that's worth more to me than anything. And I don't put Google ads on my site or do anything. I do it to hopefully make smarter decisions about the space that I'm in. And there's nothing better than I mean, we all know there's nothing better than getting a positive comment, either from a first-time commenter that's kind of just been reading and you don't know he's there. And so there's all that aspect to it too, which I really love. But you know, with Wall Strip, it wasn't about that. It was about not being embarrassed and losing my investors' money. And so there were different things that were pushing me. Whether they were right or wrong, I took the money. I needed to get out. I mean, there was no excuses. I couldn't blame Lindsay for going to get another job. I mean, it was my ass on the line. So that kind of focuses you to do.
Did